5:30, we will be starting our public hearing. And topics to be discussed will be the annual management report 2019 financial integrity rating system of Texas first. Ms. Cancino?
Thank you. We have a document available. It's at the entrance on that table. This is what we'll be discussing. And you can follow along on the PowerPoint. Good evening, board members, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for the public hearing for the First Integrity Rating System of Texas, or the School First Ratings. This is our financial report card for fiscal year 17-18. The primary goal of School First is to improve the management of school districts' financial resources. The data that we'll be going over, it is from fiscal year 2017-2018. Which ended August 31st, 2018. This rating ensures that districts are held accountable for the quality of their financial management practices and achieved improved performance in the management of their financial resources. It is also required to hold a public hearing within 90 days of the issuance of the report, and to have a an annual financial accountability management report, which is what you have back there. If you want one, if there's not enough copies, we're going to post it online also. The financial management for Don ISD to go over, there are 15 indicators that we are graded on. And there are 4 different categories or ratings. It is a grade of A for rate superior with 90 to 100 points. A B rating is above standard for 80 to 89 points. A C rating meets standard for 60 through 79 points. And an F is substandard achievement, which is less than 60 points. We are happy to report that this year the district passed the financial reporting with a score of 100 for a rating of A superior. The results were released on August 2019. So now we'll be going over the indicators. The first indicator was the complete annual financial report, the AFR, and the data submitted to TEA within 30 days of the deadline of November 27th or January 28th. And the district, we have to compare previous year and this current financial rating. So you see it there. Last year we did not. This year we did. It was filed timely with TEA. Indicator number 2. Review the annual financial report for an unmodified opinion or a material weakness. This year we did not have any material weaknesses. And for 2B, did the external auditor report the AFR was free of instance of material weakness? And the answer is yes. It was free of any instance of material weakness in internal controls. Indicator number 3. Was the school district in compliance with the payment terms of all debt agreements at fiscal year end? The answer is yes. Don ISD had no instance of default on bonded indebtedness obligation for the fiscal year ending 2018. And basically, it just wants to make sure that we make all our debt payments on time with all state agencies and our creditors. Did the school district make timely payments to TRS, the Teacher Retirement System of Texas, Texas Workforce, or the Internal Revenue Service and other government agencies? The answer is yes. Don ISD made timely payments to government agencies for the fiscal year ending 2018. Indicator number 5, this year is no longer being scored, and it's the unrestricted net position balance. Indicator number 6 was the number of days of cash on hand and current investments in the general fund for the school district sufficient to cover operating expenditures. And we received the highest points, which is 10. And Don ISD had a cash on hand, days of cash on hand of 144 days for the fiscal year ended 2018. So the district was not strapped for cash, basically. Number 7. Was the measure of current assets and current liability ratios for the school district sufficient to cover short-term debt? And the answer, we got full points also, 10. The response is Donna ISD's measure of current assets to current liabilities was 3.33089 for 2018, so it's well above the minimum. Indicator number 8 was the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets for the school district sufficient to support long-term solvency. We again got full 10 points. Don ISD ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets was 0.3004 for 2018. This indicator calculates the district's ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets and assigns points based on less than or equal to 0.6 being worth 10 points. Indicator number 9, did the school district's general fund revenue equal or exceed expenditures? And if not, was the school district's number of days of cash on hand greater than or equal to 60 days? The answer is yes. We got full points. The ratio is above at 6.66, and we did have a deficit last year, slight deficit. But we were okay with the cash on hands. We had more than the 60 days, so we got full points also in 2018 and 19. For indicator number 10, was the debt service coverage ratio sufficient to meet the required debt service? The answer, again, we got full 10 points. The school year we had, our ratio was 2.4527. Indicator number 11, was the school district administrative cost ratio equal to or less than the threshold ratio? And we got full points, 10 points. So Don ISD's administrative cost ratio was 0.0704 for 2018. And TA and state law sets a cap on the percentage of their budget that Texas school districts can spend on administration based on district size. For districts in Don ISD category, the administrative cost ratio should fall below 0.0855 to be awarded the 10 points. Indicator number 12, did the school district not have a 15% decline in the students to staff ratio over 3 years? And Don ISD had a 0.0131 decline in students to staff ratio over the 3 years, so we received all 10 points. Indicator number 13, did the comparison of public education information management system, this is PIMS, data to like information in the school district AFR result in a total variance of less than 3% of all expenditures by function? We received 10 points. This indicator measures the quality of the data reported to PIMS and in the annual financial report to make certain that the data reported in each case matches up. If the difference in numbers reported in any fund type is more than 3%, the district fails this measure and receives 0 points. Basically, what it does, it matches the data that we submit electronically through PIMS after we do the audit to the actual audit report. So it's just to verify that we are submitting what the board approved. Indicator number 14, did the external independent auditor indicate the annual financial report was free of any instance of material noncompliance for grants, contracts, and laws related to the local, state, and federal funds? And again, we received all 10 points. Don ISD external auditors indicated the annual financial report was free of material noncompliance for 2018. This indicator covers material noncompliance in local, state, and federal funds in the annual financial report and awards points based on free of any instance being worth 10 points. And the last indicator, indicator number 15, did the school district not receive an adjustment repayment schedule for more than one fiscal year for an over allocation of foundation school program funds as a result of a financial hardship? We received 10 points. We did not receive an adjustment repayment schedule from TEA. The next section that we'll go over, again, we have this available at that table, is the superintendent's contract. I just here in the presentation have the first page, but there are copies available on the back table. And this is the report that's available. Again, we were going over these indicators. So the disclosures, we have to have several disclosures. One of them is the superintendent current employment contract. It is available. The next disclosure, it is reimbursements received by superintendent and board members. And you have for that, this is again for the time period September 1st, 2017 through August 31st, 2018. And you have a breakdown by meals, lodging, transportation, motor fuel, and other fees. And you have the names of the board members or superintendents during that time frame. And the next one is any gifts received by executive officers and board members. And we don't have any to report. This is, again, also part of the report that's available. It will also be published online. And now and that concludes the presentation for the Annual Financial Accountability Management Report for 2018, 2019. If you have any questions?
And the questions also, Ms. Cancino, will be for our board members, but as well as for community members.
Correct. Okay, no question. It's listed there, ma'am. If you look at the table on the last page of the report, this table here lists all the board members and the superintendents during that time frame. Any other questions?
Good job, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very well explained.
We want to thank you, Ms. Cancino, your team for your hard effort and to make sure that we get a superior rating of 100 points out of 100 points. We were only few school district in the valley who got that 100 out of 100. So thank you and your team for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cancino. The time is 5:43, and I call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have open forum.
Yes. All right.
Okay, we have Ms. Rachel Martinez. You have 3 minutes.
Ms. Martinez, if you can allow me, because of the change on the House Bill 3, I'm going to read some directions, if you will, some expectation. So the next item on the agenda is public comments. Before we begin, I will remind our audience, members of the board's procedures for handling public comment. The public comment portion of our meeting is available to members of the public who wish to address an agenda item to be considered by the board on tonight's agenda or other topic. Anyone who wants to speak during public comment must sign in prior to the start of the meeting and list agenda item or topic them want to discuss. Each public comment speaker will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to address the board. However, any public testimony speaker who requires a translator will receive up to 6 minutes to address the board. The public comment portion of the meeting will allow all speakers who have signed up before the start of the meeting to address the board regarding an item on tonight's agenda. Please keep your comments or criticism civil and courteous. Please also avoid using profanity and refrain from making personal attacks on others during your opportunity to speak. Last, we ask that you do not discuss students who are not your own child. If a speaker is seeking board resolution of a specific complaint, that concern should be addressed through the district's grievance process. District policy DGBA has been established for addressing employees' complaints. Policy FNG is the avenue for filing parent complaints, and policy GF addresses community member complaints. Grievance forms can be obtained at a campus administration office or in the central administration offices. Thank you, Ms. Martinez, for allowing me to read this. Thank you.
Okay. First question, is that policy?
This is based on House Bill 3, Mr. Torres.
Is that policy?
It's not policy. We.
Okay. Then you need to make it policy before you can enforce it.
All right.
Legal? It's not policy,
It's aligned with the Senate bill, ma'am.
but is it policy?
It's
We do have
actually,
policy.
once a statute is enacted, and that's actually in our policy, once a statute's enacted, it's automatically, we have to comply with it.
Is it policy? Is it a certain
We have
policy,
to-
like
we
the
have
one
to
you just
abide-
named?
We have to abide by,
Well, no, but is
or
it policy?
December.
I'll ask.
okay.
It says, okay, a cool new Texas law you never heard of means they can't shut you up at government meetings anymore. You're now allowed to speak throughout a meeting on agenda items before a vote, not just in a designated time. It says, and this is from the guy who wrote the bill, I can't think of his name. Terry Palacios. No, Terry Canales.
Canales.
This law has gotten very little attention, but it's quite significant, even stunning. Meet House Bill 2840, which became law last month. Simply, the law, which went into effect on September 1st, requires all government meetings, city council, county commissions, school boards, hospital district, public colleges, to open up their meetings to public comments in a much bigger way. Some governments don't allow people to speak, and that's been happening in the Valley a lot. Until now, allowing the public to speak was not mandatory under law. Now it is. Under the new law, a person can speak to a government body at the start of the meeting, at the end, and most important, before a vote on every listed agenda item. This is unheard of. Previously, most governments allowed comments at some point, but only rarely did leaders let the public speak on individual agenda items during deliberations. Usually, they only allowed such comments when public hearings are required by law. This is huge. If you want to talk on items 1, 4, and 6, and 9 on the agenda, just raise your hand. Governments cannot stop you. Well, if they do, they are in violation of the new law. Even better, the law makes it clear that governments cannot block criticism by their constituents. Okay? So actually, you don't have to sign up for by individual items. All you got to do is raise your hand. That's what this says. Thank you.
Okay, next, Superintendent's report. Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, Mrs. Watts and board members. So it's become a tradition for us, and we have our students, our parents, and our principals here with us, and it's time for us to celebrate today a reader, tomorrow a leader. It's part of our reading campaign to ensure that literacy and reading is up at forefront of everything we do here. So we have some celebration. Again, we're thankful that our students, our parents, and our principals are here today to celebrate with us. Okay. This is attached to obviously call number 1, reading. Yeah, we attach it to reading. I know we start with the move it up. You move it to right. This one here. Before we start consent.
Good afternoon, community, parents, board members, superintendent, Ms. Watts. This year marks the district's 11th annual reading campaign, in which we recognize students as leaders in their campus, in which reading is a major role in their leadership skills. Principals will have the honor in presenting their student, so we will begin with Run Elementary.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. Our today reader, tomorrow leader is Ms. Rebecca Perez. Rebecca is a first grade student at Run Elementary. She has the highest reading level of iStation in all of first grade. She is reading beyond the grade level in both English and Spanish. She also has excellent grades in all subjects. She has read over 100 high-frequency words in both English and Spanish, and she is a great leader. She takes the initiative in helping students who are in need. When Rebecca shares what career she would like in the future, she states that she would like to be a principal. Y esta noche los acompañan los padres de Rebeca, Mr. Rigoberto Contreras y Ms. Janet Pérez. And this is Rebeca Beatriz Pérez, Red Elementaries, today a reader, tomorrow a leader.
So maybe we can take a picture. At the end, everybody. At the end. No, at the end we'll take a picture. Everybody.
Good evening. Our Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader student representing M. Rivas School of the Arts is Oscar Julian Villarreal. Oscar Julian Villarreal is an outstanding student that comes to school every day to see his friends and enjoys learning. He is in his second year participating in the dual language biliteracy program and has learned to understand, speak, read, and write in Spanish. Oscar's favorite subject is science. He likes to learn about magnets, plants, life cycles, but he especially likes learning about his favorite topic, the weather. Oscar's favorite part of the day is when his teacher, Ms. Montemayor, reads a book to the entire class during read aloud time. Oscar enjoys reading books about sharks and tornadoes. He is currently reading at a second grade level in English and is reading at a first grade level in Spanish on iStation. Oscar has a 100% average in Accelerated Reader and has read over 1,000 pages on Mayon. His favorite book is titled Otis and the Tornado. Oscar is on the principal's list for being an all-A honor roll student and for being a model student also. Last year, he placed second place in UIL math and received numerous awards. Oscar's dream is to one day become a storm chaser. And we do have his parents, Ms. Clara Villarreal, and his father is Oscar Villarreal. And this is our M. Rivas, today a reader, tomorrow a leader student.
Good evening, board. Good evening, Dr. Acias. I'm Mrs. De La Garza, campus principal at Guzman Elementary. This evening, our reader leader is Jesus Manuel Castillo. As an avid reader and exemplary student, Jesus Manuel Castillo has demonstrated exactly what it means to be Donna ISD. Last year, as a first grader, Jesus read over 120 books, accumulated 53 accelerated reader points, read 43,306 words, all while maintaining an A average. If you see Jesus at our campus, he always has a smile on his face, even today when he felt a little ill, and is ready to give it his all. His teacher, Ms. Guerrero, says Jesus has left a lasting impression on her for his ability to articulate difficult concepts in the area of math, for his sensitivity to help others, and his passion for reading. We believe these are just a few characteristics that we find in him extraordinary. Jesus' favorite book is the Dog Man series by author Dav Pilkey. And one day he hopes to go to college and give back to the community by becoming a police officer. Congratulations, Jesus, for aspiring to read, for aspiring to lead, and for aspiring to succeed. I present to you BG Guzman Elementary's today a reader, tomorrow a leader, Mr. Jesus Manuel Castillo. If I can please have Mom and Dad, Alicia Aguilar and Fernando Castillo, please stand. Congratulations, Mom and Dad.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, buenas tardes. Our today reader, tomorrow a leader at Cáceres Elementary is Miles Chavez. Miles is a first grade student in Ms. Gomez's class. Miles has the highest iStation reading level in all of first grade. He ended kindergarten at a 2.3 level and is currently reading at a 2.6 level, which is 1.6 grade levels advanced and above. Miles is also an honor roll student who has perfect attendance and who aspires to be the President of the United States. Here with him today are his former and present teachers, his family, and his mom, Maria de Los Angeles Perez. If you will please stand.
Good evening. Our today a reader, tomorrow a leader for Salazar Elementary is Leroy Villarreal. Leroy Villarreal is a very intelligent and dedicated little boy. He strives and dreams every day in becoming a brain surgeon when he grows up. He says he wants to become a doctor because he loves to help people feel better. Nonfiction books truly interest Leroy, especially when they are about different types of weather. Leroy ended his kinder year reading at a 3rd grade level and continues to excel in his reading abilities. He's currently at a 3.4 reading level in iStation. He has a 93% average on accelerated reader program, and he has 6,136 words read to this day. He is by far our top reader in 1st grade, and Salazar Elementary is proud to introduce to you Leroy Villarreal as our campus today a reader, tomorrow a leader. And his parents, Crystal and Leroy Villarreal, if you can please stand. Oh, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Olga Lidia Cervantes, proud principal at Truman Price Elementary. And here we have our today a reader, tomorrow a leader, Ms. Catherine Del Toro. Catherine is an outstanding and independent and self-motivated student that loves reading Junie B. Jones and Diary of a Wimpy Kid chapter books that are above her grade reading levels. Catherine has maintained being the top Bayer reader for this school year with over 205,920 words, outscoring our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. Catherine is never afraid to take risks and challenges herself every day on everything she does. Catherine is an all-A honor roll 2nd grader at Truman Price with a P reading level, reading 5th grade books. She is an exemplary student who has demonstrated her desire for excellence. Catherine has a brilliant mind and beautiful manners and values. She has gone the extra mile with her participation in Spelling Bee, UIL, and Top Bayer reader in her grade level throughout her entire academic years. She's a 2nd grader. Okay. Catherine aspires to be a veterinarian when she grows up because she loves to take care of animals. Based on our knowledge of Catherine's academic performance, we are confident that she will continue to be a successful student and a righteous representative of Truman Price Elementary, where she aspires to be, aspires to lead, and aspires to succeed as part of Donna Independent School District, the district. Here we have Mr. Javier Del Toro and Ms. Crystal Garate, proud parents. Would you please stand up? And once again, our representative for Truman Price Elementary, today a reader, tomorrow a leader, Catherine Del Toro.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Mari Partida, and I am the principal at Patricia Esgarza Elementary. And our today a reader, tomorrow a leader is Haiti Garcia, a 1st grade student and top reader in Mr. Ortiz's class. She is currently reading at a 2.3 level and is an all-A honor roll student. Haiti is described as a well-mannered and inquisitive student. Haiti's favorite thing to do when she gets home is complete her homework. She expresses with excitement that she has a 3-year-old sister and a brand new baby sister. Haiti also expresses that her goal for this year is to learn how to speak English. When asked what her plans for the future are, she responded, "Quiero ser una enfermera. I want to be a nurse." She wants to be able to care for children. We at P.S. Garza have no doubt that she will achieve her goals. It is our pleasure to present to you Haiti Garcia, Garza's today a reader, tomorrow a leader. And her parents are Blanca Morales and Oscar Garcia. Los padres de Haiti Garcia, sí, se pueden poner de pie, por favor. Okay, gracias.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, members of this community. My name is Karen Nieto, and I am the principal at J.P. Lenore Elementary. It is an honor to introduce Athena Castañon, and she is currently a 1st grade student at J.P. Lenore Elementary, and she is a highly motivated student with an amazing personality. Athena is described as intelligent, kind-hearted, and well-loved by her peers. In the area of academics, she received the Science Award, Honor Roll Award, Principals Award, Perfect Attendance Award, and she was also a participant in UIL Math. Athena was chosen as Lenore Elementary's Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader because at the end of kindergarten, she was reading at a level K. Overall, she had the highest reading level at our campus. Athena always displays a great passion for reading because she believes reading allows her to learn new things. When Athena grows up, she wants to be a policewoman so that she may help others. It is an honor to introduce Athena Castañon as our Today Reader, Tomorrow Leader. At this moment, I would like to recognize her parents, Jose and Sonia Castañon. If you can please stand up. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Griselda Alvarez, and I'm principal at Mighty Munoz Elementary. And it is my honor to introduce Caleb Jeremiah Castillo. He is a first grader at Mighty Munoz. His teacher, Ms. Cano, describes Caleb as a very bright, intelligent, friendly student who is always eager to learn. In addition to excelling in reading, Caleb is also a great speller. He loves to read not only during school, but during his spare time too. His favorite books to read are Ninja Turtle books. Caleb says he likes to read because it helps make you smarter and a better reader. In addition to reading, Caleb also enjoys playing basketball and video games. He also enjoys playing with his friends during recess, and in his most recent iStation, Caleb is reading at a 2.5 reading level, and he is in first grade. This first 6 weeks, Caleb made the All-A honor roll and had perfect attendance. He says he is undecided about what he plans to be when he grows up, but for the moment, he wants to play basketball for the Toronto Raptors. Mighty Munoz Elementary is proud to introduce Caleb Jeremiah Castillo as our Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader, and his parents are Patricia Castilleja and Christopher Castillo. If you could please stand. And they're right here. And this is Caleb Jeremiah Castillo.
Good evening. I'm a Sarmiento principal at Julian S. Adame Elementary, and I would like for you to meet first grader Jaren Amadeus Aguilar. Jaren has been a standout student at Adame since pre-kinder, consistently reading above grade level. His teachers describe him as articulate, creative, and self-motivated. He is an avid reader, and you can often spot him walking the halls with his face buried in a book. His favorite books are the Pete the Cat series because they make him laugh. Jaren also excels in all other subject areas and continually makes the A honor roll list. His hobbies include playing basketball and working out to stay fit and healthy. Jaren plans to attend college and study science. We at Adame Elementary have no doubt that Jaren will succeed his goals and become an influential member of society. We proudly introduce Jaren Amadeus Aguilar as Adame Elementary's Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader recipient. At this time, we would like to recognize Jaren's parents, Rogelio and Jennifer Aguilar. If you may stand up so you can be recognized. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Park, principal at D. Singletary Elementary. Iker Salcedo has a high interest in learning. He is eager to learn new things in class, and he works hard to achieve it. He performs at the top of his class, and he learns with ease. Iker enjoys coming to school and was an A honor roll student last year in kindergarten the entire year. He was chosen to read his essay on what being biliterate meant to him during the district biliteracy celebration. Iker probably read his essay to an attentive audience of over 500 people. Iker represents a true bilingual student who can read, write, and speak in both English and Spanish fluently. When I asked Iker what he wanted to be when he grew up, he told me a police officer because he wanted to help people when they were in danger. And I am sure that you will be able to achieve that dream of yours, Iker. I am proud to announce Iker Salcedo as Singletary Elementary's Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader for the 2019-2020 school year. Thank you.
If the parents of Iker, Cristina, and David Salcedo.
Good evening. My name is San Juanita Franco, principal at Salinas Elementary, STEAM campus, and I'm very proud to present to you our student, today a reader, tomorrow a leader, America Vargas. America Vargas is a very intelligent and sweet first grade student at Salinas Elementary. She is currently reading at a 2.11 grade level, has a 90% average on the accelerated reader program, and has read over 5,000 words thus far. America's favorite books to read are fantasy books with princesses and dragons. Not only does America like to read, she also enjoys writing, which led her to participate in last year's kindergarten UIL spelling event. Her teachers describe America as focused, responsible, and a very caring student who unconditionally helps her classmates who need additional peer support. Her exceptional behavior is also one to follow by her peers. On her free time, America likes to read, write, draw, and play with her cat Max. When she grows up, America wants to be a doctor to help cure sick patients. Salinas Elementary is proud to present to you our today a reader, tomorrow a leader, America Vargas. Y en este momento les quiero pedir a los papás, muy orgullosos, que se pongan de pie para ser reconocidos, Juan y Lidia Vargas. Gracias.
Good evening, everyone. I am Alfonso Saavedra. I am the principal at AM Ochoa, and I would like to present our reader leader, Mr. Matthew Martinez. Matthew is currently a second grade student at AM Ochoa. He's excelled in many things. As a first grader, he received A honor roll every 6 weeks and also received the A honor roll all last year. He's excelled at iStation. He is currently reading at a third grade reading level. Matthew has been recognized every 6 weeks in first grade as a top AR reader and has competed as a top AR reader for the year for his grade level. He enjoys reading chapter books, and his favorite series is Fly Guy by Tom Arnold. Matthew likes to spend his time reading as well as playing outside and, would you know, video games. One of Matthew's favorite activities when he comes to school is science. That's his favorite subject. So when Matthew grows up, he wants to be an engineer. At this time, it's also my great privilege and honor to introduce his parents, Mr. David Martinez and Ms. Yolanda Rangel. Matthew is one of Ochoa's one of greatest students. So once again, Matthew Martinez, AM Ochoa's top reader leader.
Good evening. Ms. Huerta, principal at Stanky Elementary. I'm proud to present Erin Cardenas, our Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader. Erin was selected Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader based on his highest iStation reading level. Erin consistently reads above grade level and is currently reading at a 2.4 level. Erin excels on all subjects and has made all A's this 6 weeks. He has also been selected as this 6 week's superstar at Stanky Elementary. Last year, Erin placed in ACES math competition. We'd like to recognize Ms. Frank and Yvette Cardenas, Erin's parents, and congratulations. And congratulations, Erin Cardenas, for being our Today Reader, Tomorrow Leader at Stanky Elementary.
Oh my God, they couldn't be any cuter. Seriously, could not be any cuter. Don't leave, they're still in the middle school and the high school. Oh my goodness.
We're going to continue now with our secondary students.
It's late, supper.
I know.
Somebody's got to cook, somebody's got to do something.
No. They were tired. They were still not that's why we needed to take pictures. See, no, I know. They were tired. They wanted to leave. They were.
Buenas tardes. Good evening. My name is Jaime Alvarez. I am the campus principal for 3D Academy. Our Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader is student Roxanne Garza. Roxanne is one of our 11th grade students at 3D Academy, soon to be a senior. She states that one of her favorite pastime activities is spending time just speaking and talking with mom, who she has a very good relationship with and who she also looks up to a lot. One of her greatest inspirations. She plans on graduating from 3D Academy and then continuing her educations either in forensic science or in the medical field. She is excited to soon to be graduating high school, and she's very excited because she's going to be the second one in her family to do so. And so, again, when I asked her, hey, what is it that you really want me to say about you, she did state, look, I just want people to understand that I'm a new person. I'm a different person. Who I was then and who I am now is very different. I've come a long way, and I'm very proud that I'm going to be able to graduate, and I'm doing this for my moms. And so it is an honor. 3D Academy is proud to present to you all Roxanne Garza, today a reader, tomorrow a leader. Thank you. Ya mero se me olvidaba. I almost forgot. Parents, if you would please rise, it's Ms. Luz Maria Gomez and Mr. Reynaldo Garza. Thank you so much.
Good evening, buenas noches. My name is Dr. Castillo, principal of Donna High School. And for Donna High School, our today a reader, tomorrow a leader is no other than Angel Dominguez, a senior. He will be graduating with a distinguished level of achievement with an arts and humanity endorsement. Angel has maintained an A and B honor roll throughout middle school and high school. He was part of the fine arts program for 3 years as a Redskin band member, folkloric and duet. He is a 4-year avid member and a 2-year member of the Mexican American Studies Club. Angel's interest in reading sparked in kindergarten and only grew as he became more confident and fluent. He attended J.W. Cáceres, where his kindergarten teacher, Ms. Sanchez, would take him to the library frequently. There he began reading books such as Dr. Seuss' Green Eggs and Ham and Mercer Mayer's Little Critter. Throughout elementary, Angel would check out many books. Because of that, he was chosen to become a student librarian helper in 5th grade. As a library helper in 5th grade, he encouraged students to check out books of different genres. As he entered middle school, he began to read autobiographies and biographies. His all-time favorite book is A Diary of Anne Frank. By reading different genres, Angel gained a perspective on different ways of life. Out of the entire senior class of Donna High School, Angel has checked out an impressive 1,185 books from kinder to now. After graduation, Angel plans to major in political science and minor in history. He plans to attend San Diego State University, and he has a desire to become an attorney. At this time, los abuelos de Ángel Domínguez, por favor, tomen de pie. Jesús y Rosa Arias. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Javier Villanueva. I'm the principal at Donna North High School, and I'd like to present Ms. Natalie Gomez, our today a reader, tomorrow a leader. Natalie is currently a senior at Donna North High School and is involved in almost everything. She is in band, student council, National Honor Society, the Amity Council, the Leo Club, and is a member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. She is also completely devoted to her numerous AP and college courses that she takes at Donna North, but she enjoys some interesting things. She enjoys making bracelets, and she's an avid painter, and she said that she has all these paintings in her room, and I guess she's just ready to sell them. But yeah, she does that. But one of the most important thing that she does is she tries to attend almost every Donna North event to show her school pride. So she says that her memories that she has made at Donna North will last her a lifetime. So she plans to use that knowledge, and she plans to attend SCC for basics, then transfer to Sam Houston State University, where she plans to major in criminal psychology. Joining Natalie is her parents, Mayra and Sergio Gomez. Please stand. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mary Lou Rodriguez, principal of AP Solis Middle School, the five-star school in Donna. Just want to make sure, got to put it out there. I'm proud to present my today reader, tomorrow leader, Mr. Anthony Hernandez. He's one of our 7th graders at AP Solis Middle School. He's the oldest son of Lucas and Nubia Giselle Hernandez, and the brother to Alejandro, Adam, and Nayla. Anthony has been one of our leading readers and currently continues working towards surpassing last year's goal and excelling once again this year. Anthony's interests include science fiction and how-to videos. Most recently, he has read dystopian genres as Apocalypse, Chaos, the Origami Yoda series, and Divergent trilogy. I would recommend you all pick it up in case you haven't read. They're not familiar, I would suggest. He says they're really good. He shared that over the summer he felt a sense of accomplishment as he mastered doing monkey fists. Those of you that may not be familiar, those are with paracords. Okay. For those that may not know, those were knots that were used in the earlier times in sailing ships. Anthony's long-term goal is to become an orthodontist and work specifically with veterans. Hence, he's considering joining the military to fulfill this goal. In the meantime, as 7th grader, Anthony continues to involve himself in being part of our football team and other school events, demonstrating the true character of a student at the best middle school in Donna. I'd also like to present Anthony Hernandez's parents, Mr. Lucas and Nubia Giselle Hernandez. Mr. Hernandez wasn't able to make it, but he's so proud of his son. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening, board members, Ms. Watson, Dr. Saiz, community members, and parents. My name is Adela Troncoso. I am the principal at Sauceda Middle School. Isis de Anda is a 13-year-old 8th grade student at Sauceda Middle School. She lives with her father and thinks the world of him. Isis likes spending time with her pets, dog, 4 cats, a turtle, and 2 snakes. Isis does not only enjoy reading, but she enjoys writing as well. She is currently writing a book called The Escaping, which I am sure that if published, it would be a bestseller. When she grows up, Isis wants to be a marine biologist. Her goals for this school year are to read at least 13 books, become a distinguished reader for the 2nd year, and perform at the master's level on all her STAR exams. It is my privilege and my honor to introduce to you one of Sauceda's finest, today a reader, tomorrow a leader, Isis de Andas. Mr. de Anda, can you please stand to be recognized?
She's already read 13 books.
She's already surpassed.
Good evening. My name is Claudia Guerrero, and I am principal at Veterans Middle School. At this time, I would like to introduce Valentino Medina. Valentino is currently an 8th grade student at Veterans Middle School. He is an avid reader and enjoys reading books about mystery. Valentino has earned 163 AR points and is currently halfway to earning his first 1,000,000 words. Valentino was a member of last year's Battle of the Books team and has already joined this year's team. Valentino's favorite author is Rick Riordan, and if given the opportunity to meet him, he would like to know what gave him the inspiration for the popular Lightning Thief series. After high school, Valentino wants to join the Marines and eventually become a sheriff. I would like to acknowledge at this time his parents, Diego and Elizabeth Medina. If they can please stand, los papás, Diego y Elizabeth Medina. It is with great honor that Veterans Middle School would like to present today a reader, tomorrow a leader, Valentino Medina.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nelda Calderon, and I am the principal at Todd Middle School. Today we have Nidia Silvera. Nidia Silvera is an 8th grade straight A honor roll student at Todd Middle School. She is a member of NJHS Student Council, participates in athletics, plays volleyball, basketball, soccer, runs cross country, and track. Nidia also plays soccer with a soccer league outside of school. This school year, her favorite subjects are biology and algebra. She enjoys the new material they are learning and working with. She wants to be a nurse practitioner when she grows up to help other people. Her advice to other students is to always try your best, to never give up, and to be confident in yourself. She adds that it is important to read because it helps create pathways in your mind and helps you learn advanced vocabulary. Todd Middle School is proud to present Nidia as our Reader Today, Leader Tomorrow, as she exemplifies the Cherokee way. And I'd like to introduce her parents, Rolando and Eva Silvera.
And as we take their picture, parents, I'd like for you to look around the room and find your child. Their picture will be displayed this entire school year up in our boardroom. Congratulations.
Out of the forest came a walking
They're oblivious to this stuff.
Next, we have district highlights. And first, I want to just thank Mr. Angel and our principal, our teachers, our students, our parents for making the time to come today and celebrate, our students' success, right? And the hard work that our teachers and our principals are putting together in support of our goal number one, which is improving the percentage of our students who are reading on or above grade level. So that's supporting our board goal number one. Just to continue down that path, as our board members and community members, we know that we started our pre-K3 full day this year, and so to highlight full day pre-K3, we made this video to highlight and show the success that our students are already showing. Just 6 weeks after the beginning of the school year, so it's my pleasure to share with you this video.
doors came a walking, talking, pretty little Goldilocks. And up to the door she was a knocking. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. Good job. If you're clever and you know it, point to a friend. If you're clever and you know it, then your brain will surely show it. If you're clever and you know it, point to a friend.
I love the PK3 program. I love seeing them grow. I love seeing them smile. I like seeing the light bulb just shine in their head where they're like, I got it, you know? And it's like, yes, you did. You totally got it.
Are you ready? Hands to your side. Nice and straight. And there we go. Walk, 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 walkie.
It was difficult at first because some of them have never experienced going to daycare, some of them might be an only child, a lot of them barely turned 3 years old, and it's like, oh, here's a new person, you know, and I'm that person.
I am going to sweep them softly from side to side, side to side, side to side.
When they first started off, they're like, you're a stranger, get away from me. And now they're like, oh my God, I love you, give me a hug. And I love, love, love that because, you know, I want them to come to school and I want them to be excited about it. You know, I want them to love learning, to love education, to love school. And you know what, I see it in their faces. We are following the Rock Street 3's curriculum. It is separated into centers, into literacy and math centers. For us, we're doing reading in the morning right after our greeting circle. Each week, the centers change based off what the curriculum says or based off your needs in your classroom. So I want to make sure I'm able to hit and challenge every single one of them however I can.
Esta.
We have a sensory table where we got a bin, and this week they were learning about sink and float. So they were able to manipulate different objects, touch, feel, learn, look at what's going on. We have read out louds where we do a small group read out loud, which is with me, where I'm able to do like a picture walk. We're able to talk about it. We're trying to relate it to their personal life that they've done before. And then we have a whole group read out loud where we do on the carpet, and we will try to act it out, which is a lot of fun. I know a lot of people think, well, they're still really small, they're still babies. No, a lot of them are a lot smarter than they're being given credit for. And when you expose them to a classroom setting, to an early education, they're really advancing themselves for the future. They are getting a head start and they're running at full speed. They're going to be top notch. They're going to be up there. These are going to be the kids that everybody's going to be fighting for.
As you see, it's a lot of excitement, right, from our teachers and our students, right? But I mean, when I thank our board members for your support, for believing in this pre-K full day, because it took a lot of planning, a lot of money, right, funds. But I think it's something down the road, like our teacher is saying, we setting up for success for life, right? And they're gonna be top notch, like she said. So very exciting. I remember going and visiting some campuses on day one, and when I went to the campuses, I was like, I want to see the pre-K 3, because usually you see them crying on day one, and I was surprised that I didn't see a lot of crying. Like really, they were already like, okay, I want to start school like at 3 years old, right? So it's very exciting to see that. But it's also has a lot to do with about our teachers, our teacher assistants, our principals, our staff, who are very welcoming and very nurturing. But also, yeah, as you can see, there's a curriculum that our students are learning, starting to learn how to read, right? But it's also motor skills, social-emotional skills, a lot of censoring skills, a lot of stuff that they need to develop early on. And so very excited about the opportunity that we can offer full-day pre-K in our district. So next. Next, we move into looking at monitoring report for Board Goal 3 and Superintendent Constraint Number 2 under Lone Star Governance. And just a reminder, Goal 3 talks about the percentage of students who achieve meets and/or master's performance level on the STAR exam identified in the Texas State Accountability Report will increase from 37 to 60% by 2023 based on our AE local. And of course, as a reminder, also we have 3 GPMs, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, and also STAR EOC. And we want that obviously to increase in all 3 levels. Overall, our students were given the bundle test, and so we were able to use the first 6 weeks bundle test scores to look at where we stand, where our students are stand as far as goal number 2. And so based on the test really was given in September, but since we're reporting in October, that's why we put report date is October. So we have 36% of our students overall were at the meets or master level. Our goal for the year is to be at 47%. Again, this was our first 6 weeks, so 5 weeks really. If you because the test was about on last week, the week before. Looking at goal number 1, we see that only 26% of our students in grade 3 through 5 show meets or masters, or whereas our goal is to be at 40%. So we have some room to go for our elementary students and our elementary teachers and principals. For GPM number 2, tackles grade level 6 through 8. We have 39% of our students show meets or masters or score meets or masters. Our goal is at 41. We saw bigger growth in our middle school students. And in high school, we have the goal is as 49% at the end of the year. Using the bundle test, the first 6 weeks bundle test, 46% of our students show or scored meets or masters. So we saw again that there is more work to be done at the elementary level based on this data. So as far as like how we rank ourselves, we think we're approaching. Again, we believe that there is a lot more work to be done. But the next steps is to target. We have targeted data meetings and goal setting for our teachers and the students, looking at individualized goals by students. We're also using mastery trackers by students. Also, there are some curriculum updates, and obviously we are using this year, we are using what we call the PLC, the Dana Way PLC model, and we did that, train our principals and assistant principal and CSs, and our principal and administrators did train the teachers, and we've seen implementation of that model in our campuses. So the evidence is, again, using Bundle 1 exam results. Our board members, you have also a breakdown for every campus and how every campus is doing. So that also for you to look at it in case you want to do that. And then also here, a breakdown by subject. And this is where we pull the data. As far as constraint number 2, the superintendent shall not approve changes in academic programs arbitrarily or without an annual evaluation and support on data of program effectiveness. And the number of changes to academic programs made arbitrarily or without an annual evaluation and support data of program effectiveness will be maintained at 0 by 2021. And we did not make any changes to any programs thus far. So we are meeting so far this constraint. And the next step for us just to continue with this current practice. If we have to make any changes, obviously we have to go through an evaluation process. That's it for me. Any questions?
Okay, that's it.
Yes, Dr. Azzi, I have questions.
Give me. Okay.
I'm noticing that the ELA and then the math at the high school level appear very low. And typically when you see something like that, was it that the test was invalid? It didn't test what was taught? Or is there an issue with the curriculum?
It could be a combination of things. Mr. Rana, what was your take on that? Since
it's not excuse, it's a we have a lot of new teachers at the high school level, especially in the high school. So I did not find any what can be alarming right now, but we are going to get there. Just the first 6 weeks, 5 weeks, we barely got the 4 week, especially the high school. Like the first week, they are adjustment, schedule changes and that, so the 4 week, and then we are testing. So it's like the time frame we had, very few weeks.
Now, I was reading the weekly updates that y'all send us.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you what I've noticed that's different in social studies that I'm not seeing in the other subjects. I mean, according to the information we're receiving.
Right.
For example, Mrs. Powelson indicated that she's reviewing, at the end of the first 6 weeks, she's already reviewing the content for the second 6 weeks. She reviewed last year's scores and set new goals. She implemented new initiatives, and then they went over the report to track their performance, the student performance. Plus, she also looked at the past performance to identify weak areas. Plus, what I even like better is that she did a training on sketch notes, and then the following week, they went in to check for implementation, and the implementation was there. In other words, what I'm seeing is she is very focused, and I'm not reading that in the other subject areas, and it's evident in the scores, because if you look at the scores, even on the bundle test, the social studies scores are very strong compared to the rest of the subjects.
Definitely, we have an example, like we have an example in our house. So the other department, they are doing, but their update is on different, they didn't note there, but they are doing the similar thing as social studies there.
But it's not reflected on their scores.
So,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's something, it's a good point, Dr. Valdez, and I think something that we need to look into it. One thing to keep in mind is ELA is the only subject this year who have new TEKS. So it's the state of Texas put new TEKS all together. So this is like a new game that we're playing, right? Because they changed the TEKS altogether. So that wasn't the case. It's not the case for science. It's not the case for math. ELA is the only, this year, is the only subject that all our teachers and principals and administrators are learning how to, I guess, teach and, this new TEKS and also assess this new TEKS. So there is it's not an excuse for having low scores, but we have to keep in mind that there is also a new change when it comes to ELA.
But the math is very low also, and of course, at the high school, 29%. The ELA is 34%. So I'm looking at both of those.
Dr. Valdez, they are meets level. They are not approaches, they are meets level. The student they are.
So is social studies meets level too?
Yes, meets level.
And so are the others in the other grades. So what I'm saying is there's a discrepancy in the scores. That's all I'm saying. And I know that on the weekly updates, I noticed that y'all are doing the T-test also.
Right.
How are you all aligning the staff development to those areas that are being identified as areas of need? How is the staff development in the district being aligned to target those specific areas?
Are you talking about T-PASS or T-test?
T-test, I'm sorry, the T-test.
What T-test is the T-tests are that's when we have the BOI, so it's the beginning of the year. That's when our principals are meeting and our administrators are meeting with their group of teachers who are appraising and setting their goals for the year. So depends on the needs of the teacher. Obviously, it's supposed to be a collaboration between the administrator and the teacher, and also depends on the need for that particular teacher, right? So if a teacher needs to be, implement more engagement activity or increase rigor, so the principal or the administrator is supposed to work with that teacher to help that teacher improve in that area. So that's how the T-test is supposed to be.
Now, you said that y'all are doing a new PLC. Can you just give us a little
Sure.
summary of what that looks like?
Sure.
Just
So
so that
we train our teachers. I'm sorry. We train our principals and our CS and IAPs in the PLC model. So it's and what we can do, we can actually share with our board members. We can share with you some information, the expectation. We set some expectation for the PLC, things that needs to be discussed or talked about during the PLC. So it's very structured, and it's around data-driven instruction. It's also it's also around practice where our teachers supposed to practice whatever they were supposed to teach their students prior among themselves. So it's very structured and very specific things that they need to be doing during PLC. It's not like the random thing and meet and discuss and start talking about what we did in the weekend or, okay, and then it's not a complaint session. It's supposed to be more so what we can do is we can share that with our board members and we can share it to you by this
And I
update.
guess maybe what I'm trying to find out if the PLCs are being led by what the students did not learn and what we're doing.
Correct.
And what the students did learn and what we're doing to enrich them.
Correct.
That's what
Once-
I'm trying to figure out
yes.
if that is, so then if that's being done, then we should see an increase in our scores.
Yes. So ultimately, the research talks about how, when teachers start collaborating with each other and sharing best practice, you're going to see a better increase in student outcome, right? And so that's the whole thinking behind having a structure in a PLC, is to really encourage our teachers to share best practices and really focus on, like you said, on student outcomes rather than like just having a random conversation, right? So when we share that, we can make sure we give you copies, and we send even a copy of the PowerPoint of the training that we did with our principals.
That's it.
Just a clarification, so the bundle tests were testing just what's been taught?
Yes.
Yeah, I understand now what you're saying, Dr. Valdez. These are, for this to be a testing what's already been taught, right? It's not testing anything that has not been taught. That is pretty significantly. It's a huge difference. And it's interesting because for many years, right, we've seen this trend with social studies, like really being excellent,
Right.
and trying to catch up and figure out what are the best practices happening. Because there's something systemically in the district that's really happening across the grade levels in that area.
Right.
That's leading up to kids at the high school level doing so well. So the good thing is we have, the practices inside our district right here. We just got to figure out what that means for
Yeah.
ELA and
And no doubt that Ms. Garza and our strategists are doing a phenomenal job. That's nothing. There's nothing to It's not a secret. I mean, they're doing an awesome job, and they've been doing it for the past few years. That's not a secret.
I just think it's a good idea to pick what Mrs. Powelson is doing, because I know that before she came in, the district was at the bottom of social studies. And right now, for last year, I think it was Los Fresnos and Sharyland, Valley View, McAllen, Harlingen, Brownsville, Laredo, and then Donna. And then there's like 15 campuses thereafter. So she's done really phenomenal. And if you look at her weekly updates, what she's doing is very strategic, very focused, and I'm not seeing that
Right.
in the other updates that we're getting.
Just a quick comment. I guess what I'm seeing now is just a snap picture when the first 4 weeks of school.
Yep.
So that snap picture, as I see it, is just to give you a projection numbers, right?
Right.
And obviously, just echoing what Dr. Valdez has just stated, and obviously, Ms. Reina, the numbers should change in the next 4 weeks. Are we going to do the same thing again within 4 weeks or the next 6
Yeah.
weeks? So that we can see a valid update, I guess, so
Yeah.
to speak, where the student is.
So it's okay. So the bundle test happens obviously at the end of each bundle, or about 6 weeks or so, right? 5 to 6 weeks. So usually the bundle test only addresses, or the assessment is about the stuff that is covered for the last 5 to 6 weeks, right? However, why we think there is always room to growth is our teachers and our principal know you don't just teach it for the first 4 weeks or 5 weeks and you forget about it, because you're going to have to spiral back to it, right? And you have to assess the data and see who did not get it, and then you go either through, you can spiral it through your do nows or warm-up questions, your tutorials during the day, on Saturday tutorials, right? So there is a variety of methods, right, of intervention, if you will, that our principals and our teachers know how to circle back and spiral back and come back to those things that were in masters. And even the ones who master, you want to always push them up higher and higher, right? So it's not a one-time done, move on. It's something that you're always going to go circle back. So to answer your question, Coach Perez, the next bundle will have a new material that our teachers are already covering right now, So it won't be necessarily, the assessment won't cover or won't assess what was taught, let's say, in the beginning of the school year. However, that's not going to be a forgotten material. We're going to, our teachers are, our principals know that they have to spiral back and circle
But we know that math, for example, math, you show growth, and it's always an increasing data that you can't forget what you learned the first 6 weeks.
Correct.
It's applicable as you move
Correct.
forward. So I guess going back to just the math, for example, it's an area that it must continue to grow somewhere.
Of course.
If there's a, as you call intervention,
Of course.
then I guess we need to do that early on, and this is your spot for, especially for the principals, because those are, as I call them,
Yeah.
the folks on the ground that need to make sure that they are addressing their needs.
Yeah.
And if we're not, then obviously we need to know that, so that us as board members can somehow assist
Oh, yeah.
or find ways that we can help each other out in that world.
The next time we're formally monitoring this is what, it's like quarterly that we're monitoring this goal in particular. Do you remember which month that is that we come back to this, Mr. Donna?
I think it will be in December.
Yeah.
December? That's
So-
the next time we formally monitor this.
So in December, it will be a good opportunity because most likely it will be done with our benchmark then. And so the benchmark will be a comprehensive. So that's the difference between I guess this bundle test and the benchmark, because the benchmark is more of comprehensive. So what happens is we're gonna go back with that and assess everything and anything that we start teaching since, what is it, August 26 or 27, the first day of school, all the way to when is that assessment is about to happen.
So that data won't be available till January?
You bundle test every 6 weeks? Is it possible to still get the
Yes.
data every 6
We will
weeks?
send
I don't
to
want to
the-
wait till
to the
December.
board update, we will add to the board update. And this one, when we assess the next 6 weeks, the second 6 week, 25% ticks will be the spiral ticks. So 75% will be moving. We never forget the ticks we taught in the first 6 weeks. And it's continuously spiraling it as we continue. Those ticks, they were not, we did not do good. We especially give them attention in the second 6 week. We will not test them again, but we did not learn the last 6 week or the data was not good from those ticks. We will assess them in second 6 week, and that spiral will continue until the day of the last day.
Mr. Donna, would it be too, because I don't want to create more work for you. Would it be too much work for you to give us the 6 weeks data for the D and for the D campuses that are rated D and the F-rated campus? I think those we need to even focus on.
I gave you in your packet all the campus score, in this green packet, every campus
Yeah.
the score. I gave
Every
you.
campus has a score on there.
All the campus score is there.
It's not in the PowerPoint, but it's in the back. Yes.
We need a motion to accept or deny.
I move.
A second.
Motion by Mr. Perez, second by Mr. David De Los Rios.
I accept also.
Accept.
Accept.
Accept, motion passes.
Madam President, before we continue, can I make a brief comment? I'd like to introduce Mr. Pete Morales. He's our commissioner out of Alamo. He's here in the crowd today, and I just to, in line, he supports us obviously across the Alamo Road, if you will. So we kind of share some stuff, so I'd like just to welcome him to our board meeting. Pete Morales. He takes care of the schools on that side.
Mrs. Watts, board members, we were asked by the Hidalgo County Appraisal District if we would like to nominate a candidate for the Board of Directors of the Hidalgo County Appraisal District for the 2020-21 year.
Okay, this would be for anybody that would want to be.
Yes,
any
any-
board
yes.
membership present, right?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody who wishes to?
I'd like to be part of that, be nominated for that candidacy, yeah. I'd like to see what the appraisal district is. Well, I'd like to be, I'm not nominating.
I second that.
In favor?
Favor.
Motion made by Mr. Perez, second by Dr. Valdez.
Favor. Favor.
In favor.
In favor, motion passes. Okay. Number 5, report on Donna Independent School District Board of Trustees required training as per Texas Education Code Section 11.159B. Ms. Terry Gonzalez?
You're gonna read the hours, or?
Oh, yeah.
for Mrs. Eva C. Watts, Tier 1, she has 3 hours, Tier 2, 10 hours, Tier 3, 21.25 hours, Tier 4, 3 hours, and has completed Tier 4. Dr. Maricela Valdez has 12 hours in Tier 1, 11 hours in Tier 2, 14 hours in Tier 3, 3 hours in Tier 4, and has completed Tier 4. Colonel Roberto Perez has 10 hours in Tier 1, 11 hours in Tier 2, 52.75 hours in Tier 3, and 3 hours in Tier 4, and has completed Tier 4. Mr. David de los Rios has 6 hours in Tier 1, 11 hours in Tier 2, 18.550 in Tier 3, and 3 hours in Tier 4, and has completed Tier 4. Mr. Valentin Guerrero has 3 hours in Tier 1, 1 hour in Tier 2, 21.50 hours in Tier 3, 3 hours in Tier 4, and has completed Tier 4. Dr. Donna Mary has 3 hours in Tier 1, 11 hours in Tier 2, 15 hours in Tier 3, 3 hours in Tier 4, and has completed Tier 4. Mrs. Alicia Reina has 3 hours in Tier 1, 10 hours in Tier 2, 19 hours in Tier 3, 3 hours in Tier 4, and has completed Tier 4. There's 3 workshops that we have that Dr. McMahon has not given us credit for. So in Tier 2, everybody will be completed in Tier 2. When were those trained?
One was in November, another one in December, and then the team of
2018?
Yes.
And we still haven't gotten?
We haven't gotten them, so. I did call her and she was going, and I emailed her and she was gonna be sending us some information.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Next is Business and Finance. Ms. Cancino. To approve resolution of annual review of Donna ISD investment policy and strategies.
So we are required by the school board of Donna ISD and its investments policies to annually prepare and review a comprehensive report on the investment program and investment activity. This report is required to include Donna ISD's portfolio performance and recommendation of policy, strategies, and improvements necessary to enhance the investment program. So if you look on page, and I'm going to briefly go over the report. If you look on page 10, the value at end of this, the book value of the portfolio was at $76.7 million. And you see there how it's broken up by the majority is invested in pools at 60% and the other 40% at checking accounts. The next page, on page 11, that is the beginning balances or ending balances last year. If you look on page 13, you will see a table there with the interest earned. You see we earned $1.1 million in interest on our investments. So that is very, very good. You look at the next page, on page 14, it is the interest earned in the past 3 years. You see in 2017, it was at $356,000 interest earned. Last year was $746,000, and then this past year at $1.1 million. As you saw in the previous report on the public hearing, our cash on hand is at 144 days, so we do have a lot of cash on hand. That's why we generate a lot of interest on all that money. If you look on page 16, that is the annual investment report. You see the beginning balance. If you go down to the bottom of it, the beginning balance was $68.3 million. And then you have all the activity, deposits, interest earned, and withdrawals. Our ending balance was $76.7 million. And then we are almost done. On page, I have a correction. On page 62, on the date, it says upon adoption by the School Board of Trustees on October 8th, 2019. So I'd like to change the date to today's date. And then last but not least, the resolution is some of the things that we are, on page 76, these are the recommendations for fiscal year 1920. It is that we continue our strategy to invest in pools and CDs. We recommend the continued use of Tex Pool and Tex Pool Prime for liquid and short-term investments. We also recommend the staff members to continue to serve as investment officers. Myself, Assistant Superintendent of Business and Finance, and Rigoberto Garcia, our cash accountant. On Section 3, we are required to list the entities that will be providing the investment training. So we have a list there provided for you. And then I have another correction, I apologize. On page 78, Section 2, where it's the investment officers, I'd like to change the finance director. On Section 2, it says the Assistant Superintendent of Business and Finance, and it should be the cash accountant, as we don't have a finance director. And that is all. If you have any questions?
We'll get this back for us to sign, but obviously afterwards, after we make the
Yes.
corrections.
Yes, sir. Any questions? We need a motion.
Make the motion to approve.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. De Los Rios, second by Dr. Valdez.
In favor?
In favor?
Favor.
I also vote in favor. Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Cancino.
Mrs. Watts, the administration would like to table one item from the consent agenda. One item, it's under Human Resources, D, Human Resources. Item number 4, approve recommended revision to 2019-2020 Donna ISD compensation plan, as we are still having consultation with TASB. So we'd like to table it, maybe to bring it back next board meeting.
Okay, I need a motion for that.
So move.
Motion made by Mr. De Los Rios, second by Mr. Guerrero.
Favor? In favor?
Favor?
I also vote in favor, and motion passes. Okay, now we need a motion to accept a consent agenda.
I make the motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. De Los Rios.
Second?
Second by Dr. Valdez.
In favor?
Favor?
Favor.
In favor, motion passes. Okay, next we have the governance report, conservator monthly report for August. Mrs. Romero.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Azayis. Tonight, I'm reporting on the August monthly. During August, you had great things happen. You received great news. You had the superior rating for the school first for the 2018-19 school year, which was based on 17-18. And that was a great accomplishment for the business office because the prior year, you had the district had failed that rating. And then you received an overall rating of a B on the new academic accountability. And the prior year, you had a C overall. And after 3 years of no raises, the district was able to give teacher raises of $4,000 to $4,500. Equity adjustments and salary increases to others across the board. This was made possible by the legislature, district leadership, and board members. And then we had 2 items that caught some board members off guard. A letter was sent on behalf of the district requesting the removal of the conservator. It was a good letter. However, it lacked the full endorsement of the board members, and not all members knew that the letter was sent to TEA. And for the August board meeting, some board members chose to add, at the very last minute, 2 last-minute agenda items to remove legal counsel and to request an RFQ for legal services with no supporting documentation, and quickly limited the discussion by voting on the items. In the letter to TEA, there's reference in there to the district's behavior concepts of openness and transparency, which I'm having a hard time acknowledging. I would like to see the openness and transparency concepts take place on board transactions and at board meetings. Are there any questions?
Yes, ma'am, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So we're gonna go back to the raises. You said how long was it that the employees didn't get raises?
I said 3 years.
Okay, ma'am. Going back 17, 18, I have here a form where migrant strategists got a $4,600 raise. How did that happen if no one got raises? I
There
have
was
the
just one
documentation here.
person that got
No,
a
ma'am.
raise?
No, ma'am. It was 6, ma'am.
6 migrant strategists?
Yes, ma'am.
I wouldn't know that. At that time, I was a monitor, and I wouldn't be accountable for everything that happens at the district, because I don't know everything that happens
But you
at the
just
district.
told me right now that no one got any raises. But yet.
Based on the
You're here
board
for
agenda.
finance and for
based-
governance, correct?
Yes, I
So then
am.
it's your job to make sure that
No,
we're
no,
in line,
sir.
ma'am.
I'm sorry, there's no way, not even an auditor that comes in to audit this district would account for 100% of the transactions that happen at this district. It's on a test basis. There's no way I would know that.
Ms. Cancino, I've got another question. On that one, I know that you said that the monitor board progress, that the August actions reflected a lack of transparency. So when I look at the expected outcomes for that particular item, it says to ensure that the board focus is on students and improving academic outcomes, right? And it says that the results should be evidence of focus on student outcome goals, right? This is from your report.
Right.
So when I look at the time tracker for that particular month, we spent 64% of our time on student outcomes, the highest we've ever had as a board. So that evidence, that data, does not coincide with yours. So can you please explain why?
When I was talking about transparency, I was not referring to student outcome goals or anything like that. I was referring to how you deal with each other and how you bring transactions on board regarding items that you're discussing or adding at the last minute to board agenda items.
But the report that you provide us indicates there specifically that the expected outcomes that you want to see is that the board is focused on student outcomes. And your report specifically says that the results will be the evidence of focus on student outcome goals. And again, we spent 64%
I am not
of our
questioning
time.
your student outcomes, Dr. Valdez.
Pardon me?
I am not questioning your student outcomes. I know you are reporting on those. I'm very much aware of that, and the time tracker reflects that every month. So that is not an issue, ma'am.
I guess maybe what I'm seeing is just not aligned with what I'm seeing. And I guess maybe the other item is, and this one can go to legal, because you specifically there indicated that it was placed by one member before the legal time. So legal, did we meet the legal time? Yes or no?
Pursuant to board policy, yes.
So yes, we did meet the legal policy, but you said we almost didn't, so you indicated it. So it's either not we almost did, it's either did we or did we not meet the deadline?
You
And
met
legal,
the
we did.
deadline. It was presented at the last minute. I happened to have been here that Saturday when it was brought to the attention that that was to be added.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. Are you aware of how many other items in all the months we've had that have been placed right before the deadline? Because I have a copy of them, but yet none of them were brought to the attention except this one.
I am not aware of
Well, I am.
every single one.
I am, ma'am.
I expect you would be, ma'am.
It's at the discretion of the chair.
With the discretion.
Are you going to refuse because it is against the law?
It's at the discretion of the chair. The new law requires before or during consideration of agenda item. The administration has chosen to address it before. We're in compliance with 551.007 of the government code. We are in compliance.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Just wanted to know you all are willing to break the law here. I guess we are.
And then-
So there is no transparency.
And then, Mrs. Romero, the other question, it says that no explanations were provided when a board member inquired as to why these items had been placed on the agenda as the last minute. I went back to review the video. Mrs. Watts very specifically explained why it was last minute. She was provided that information late Friday.
No,
and
no,
the
that's for
superintendent was out
September,
of
ma'am.
town.
I'm reporting on August.
No, I am. I'm reading exactly what you gave us. It says there that, that no explanations were provided. She did provide the explanation.
In September. In September. She did
Right.
provide the explanation that the contract had been terminated, or that you all had 17 days, and that Dr. Aziz was out of town, so she couldn't add it until the very last minute when he came back.
Right,
That was
but-
for September, ma'am.
But you put no explanations were provided on your report.
I don't remember,
you
but
gave
then
it to us.
well, if I gave it to you, then that's what I put.
It feels like to me that the conservator is being attacked. Let me just put it direct. I believe that the conservator here is to help us be a stronger board. And so if there are things that we need to bring forth as a board as an agenda item and discuss it so we can figure out our stuff, then let's do that. But let's not attack
I
the
think that they were,
conservator.
excuse me, Ms. Reina, but I think that they were only asking the question, so they had verifications to the clarification. They were clarifying what was written in the report that was on. And that is transparency.
Hey, Madam Chairman, got a question. Mr. De Los Rios.
Yes.
Where did you get that letter from? Regarding the migrants got a $4,000 raise?
That was pulled by Ms. Valdez during her campaign, and she had the documentation with her. She did an
Okay.
open records, and she was running for office.
What exactly does it deal with? Because I don't remember the migrant strategist getting a raise.
What happened was, let me see if I've got the dates correctly. For 2016, 2017, they were given an additional 5 days. So I believe that was a raise.
No, they were taken away.
Of 1,400. And then the following year, 2017, 2018, they were given a $4,600 raise. That's information that I requested from the business office during my campaign.
Okay.
And that is what they provided me. So it's
Okay.
the evidence was from
Because
the business office.
I believe what happened, and I'm going to give you an explanation because I was here. What happened was, in previous years, migrant strategists were treated as teachers with plus days. They were teacher salary plus, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were working 112 days. I'm not exactly sure on the number of days. But then there was a TASB request to have them put on the compensation plan. And I believe at that time it was Mr. Villanueva who was the HR director. And he requested, and Mr. Castillo was the superintendent. They went through TASB and they were put on the compensation plan at AP1. Okay? And then later down the road, they were getting, I want to say they were working 217 days and they went down to 207. Maybe that's where you're saying that they got the $4,000 raise?
Yeah, all I'm saying is that the information that the business office gave me, what I did is I took their average daily rate that they were at before, multiplied it times the number of days, and then
So
the
then
new daily
you
rate,
assumed,
and the difference was
yeah,
4,600.
your multiplication is what you're assuming that they got a raise.
Based on the information that the district provided me.
Okay. Because.
So I think if, like, one, superintendent, if you could look into this, and
Yes.
two, if we could all get the same documentation, so if, you know, if that needs to be corrected, it needs to be corrected. And we need to go back and all have the same information.
Right.
Look at it.
And you will be
Superintendent can
provided
look
the
into it.
information.
Okay.
So we're not trying to remember things back 2 years ago. And we're all looking at the same information and the same data.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? in the report? Is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Yeah, I just have one comment. You're talking about transparency, and that really bothers me when talking about transparency. There's nothing on this board that we have done that has not been transparent. To include that letter, although Ms. Reina alluded to that letter here from discussion from inside our executive session, but it should not have been discussed at that point, but you failed to do that. I just understand why is it that when we do an action that all of us is going to benefit, and the district is benefiting from this. This is nothing personal against you as an individual. It has to do with us being able to do our own job singularly. Obviously, you've been helping us throughout the district, and there's no discussion there, not for me anyway, and you've done a fabulous job in that. But I think when it comes to transparency, a few items that you've mentioned, to me, that's not transparency, because they were aware of it. Alicia was there present. AJ was actually the one that asked us to go ahead and do that. This is not a singular board member doing this. And secondly, it was also done by legal counsel. Legal counsel did this. He is the one that advised. So it was under the advisement of legal counsel. This has nothing to do with me or any one of these board members not being transparent. Maybe we have a lack of communication, that's different. That is different from transparency. But we have a lack of communication across the board. But I don't agree with the transparency part, because we have been transparent. It may look at times that we're not doing the right things, but I think we are for the most part. At least 99% of the time we are. Now, we may have indifferences, and I've stated that before. We have indifferences in our board. We have different heads in this board. We all don't think the same way, but I think as board members, at the end of the day, we're trying to do the best it is for this district. And I don't think we failed the district in any shape or form when it comes to transparency. So that word for me, this is not a good word to use this. Miscommunication, absolutely. I can agree with you 100%. We miscommunicate on some things. I do disagree or agree with that, but not transparency. I don't think none of us have been untransparent on any issues. When it comes to other items that we'll discuss here shortly, I think it goes back to how we do the everyday business as an organization. It goes back to our AE local policies that we talked about in the past. We have not done that yet. That's forthcoming. And I think those are the things that we need to, in closing, I think you know this, Councilor Meadows, that we have not done that yet. And that's to our detriment. And I think we need to do that so that we don't have the miscommunication piece.
Colonel Perez, I'm not questioning the letter. I am not questioning
No,
the
I
letter.
said transparency, ma'am.
But what I am questioning is the method that you all chose to do, because there were some board members that were not aware of that letter. That's all I'm questioning.
No, but yes, but you said transparency, and that's what I
Well,
was
it's
looking at.
transparent if the others didn't know, sir.
Well, I got that, but what I'm saying is, if legal counsel already has stated, I'm following counsel's guide, not me. That's why it went to him at that point.
I guess maybe Colonel's concern is that you indicated on your report the concern of one board member, but that board member is the one that he's saying was present with us when we spoke to AJ, that was aware about it.
Okay, so you all, I said my piece when we had this item, and we've moved on from here.
No, yes, but she brought it up.
Definitely.
You know, the thing is yes, honestly, we were at dinner after a 12-hour day of graduation. Maybe we discussed later, maybe, I couldn't even remember because I left early. I don't even know what you all discussed after I left. I didn't see the letter before it went out.
We left at the same time.
But
Yeah,
you
we
know.
left at the same time.
Wait. Doesn't matter.
Okay, I think,
Anyways,
we need
we've
to
moved
just move
on. I've said my piece. I didn't get to see the letter before it went to TEA. That's the same thing I said before, so, you know.
Okay, let's just,
And I guess maybe the only thing that I'm asking, Ms. Romero, and I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart, I'm asking you to just be objective with all of us equally, because I feel that maybe it may not be as consistent as I feel that it should be, because I've seen actions that are not right, but they've never been on your report. I'm asking you to please be objective with all of us equally.
I
Okay,
will certainly
think-
take that under advisement. It was not my intent to pick on anyone, just some of the transactions that have been taking place.
Okay, I think we've had enough of this discussion. We need to move on with our board agenda. Our second one is discussion and possible action to approve proposal for Board Leadership Academy program. That would be Mrs. Reina leading that discussion.
All right, you all, I'm excited to have a discussion about this. So Board Leadership Academy, if we pursued something like this would be the first of its kind in the Rio Grande Valley. The kind of the backstory, you kind of see here in the rationale in your board packet. Dr. McMahon, Dr. Azia, and myself, we attended the Let's Start Governance Summit, went to an advocacy session, and one of the strongest school districts really in the state of Texas is doing this kind of work. So we thought we'd come back, put a proposal in front of the board so we can have a discussion about it. And really the vision for this Board Leadership Academy would be to begin to build the mindsets of our community, of the leadership before they get in seat as a board member. And so it's really about establishing that mindset of like, student outcomes don't change until adult behaviors change. I is the genesis of change, and integrity is access to my goals. And it's really about building those mindsets before somebody actually becomes a board member. So that when they become a board member, there's that foundation there. And so that's really the vision of this program, holistically. And then you can see there, you know, what the sessions could be, the number of sessions. And again, this is, you know, we got these ideas from HEB ISD. I get a chance to talk with Julie Cole, and just, you know, they're, I think, 10 years into doing this type of work, and just to ask her, like, what are some of the things that you would recommend we really get right in our first year, in an inaugural year? And it would be great, you know, if this becomes something we can offer every year, and we bring a cadre of our community leaders together to really think about what it means to be in leadership on the board and have the mindsets that are going to actually drive student outcomes. So anyways, you all have the proposal here. Would love to have a discussion about it, your thoughts, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Wait for them. Any thoughts? No?
Yeah.
Well, I'll go first, I guess. On the onset, and Alicia and I had a brief conversation because she shared this data originally with me. And I like the idea and like the concept that it states as such. I think having a leadership academy is a great value to our district. But I see the other side of this, and one side I see is us still have to do the other jobs that we have not done very well yet as a district. We still have schools that are not doing proficiently well. And I think before we move on to another project and put our resources to work within the district, I think it's important to see the other side of that. Not saying that this cannot be done in the future. I think it can, but also we've talked with Dr. McMahon on two fronts. One is for us to give a presentation, and you remember this from one of our presentations we had, can't remember, I think it was back in March, where we said that in the future we can probably have done by TEA where they would pay for us to have classes before an election year, to where we present this same kind of data, right? So that those leaders that are running and don't show up, well, they don't know, they're not interested in student outcomes. And those are the things that I think she had discussed that we need to put on our plate. So we have not done that yet as well. That's another item that we have not done based on the governance piece that she discussed. So from that venue, I think we need to continue pressing that issue if we're going to do that with Dr. McMahon, to where our leaders, community leaders, can come in and see how we do governance. I think it's relevant at that point. Overall, right now, for me, this is me, and I shared the same sentiments last time with you, is for me, right now, to put a little bit more emphasis or more resources and timing from across the board of who's going to be present. I mean, we can't even put a video together yet for our community, and that also talks to that. And I think we need to do that in the next month or so. So the video is forthcoming, which we'll talk here shortly, obviously, where our community is aware of what we're doing within the governance. I think if we do those things first, Then we can move on to the academy piece. We need to crawl before we need to run, and I think this is the run stage for me. I'm not there yet. Me, personally, I don't think we're there yet.
And I agree with you, Colonel. I think, and I read it, Alicia, and I think it's really good.
It is
I
a good-
love the proposal. It was very good. That's not an issue. I just think we have a lot on the Lone Star Governance 1 that hasn't been completed. Like, for example, the board policy conversion, the advocacy portion.
Which is talks to right here.
The superintendent evaluation. We're supposed to be using it to measure outcome goals, but I still haven't seen that instrument. So there's still a lot of things, I think, that are incomplete on this first part. And I personally would feel more comfortable completing it all. And then once we complete it, then I think we can look at this academy maybe for the next school year. Or at least that's how I feel.
Can I add a couple of things to that? I
Go
think
ahead.
that
Discussion.
This would give future candidates a view of what they're getting themselves into prior to them getting elected. And at that point in time, I would like to have known about Lone Star Governance before I ran, and that's very important. And, that's one of the things I think that the Leadership Academy is making future candidates aware of. What are you getting yourself into? Because it's not going to be the way things have been in the past. Things are changing. We've implemented this Lone Star Governance, and in order for us to take the district to a new level, future leaders have to be trained. They have to know what they're getting themselves into. It's not going to be, politics as usual. So I think that this is something that, I applaud Alicia for taking the lead, and at least putting that out there. And it's something that we need to consider. I mean, we're having an election in November of 2020. That's right around the corner. And it's going to be within another year. And I think that candidates who want to put their names on that ballot need to be informed as to what they're getting into. So I applaud Alicia for taking the lead on this. Another thing I want to applaud Alicia. She's always at the forefront of new and innovative ideas that the district needs to get behind. So anyway, that's what I feel about that.
Thank you, sir.
That's one thing I was thinking about as far as the timing, elections being in November
2020,
of 2020, and then I think candidates file in August, if I'm remembering correctly. And so I was really thinking about, if this was to have 6 sessions, one time a month, it really needs to get launched, in January. In what do you think, Mr. Perez, do you think maybe pushing it back to like a February through June, July kind of thing would be better?
Yeah, well, yeah, because right now, I don't know if everyone recalls here, but when Dr. Maben stated that we can have a session where all of us, to include ourselves, sit in a workshop where those candidates, the potential candidates that want to show up, starting in November, this November timeframe, that we would do that. And we have not gotten there yet. I don't know where we're at with that piece. She stated that we should be able to do that. And obviously, they would cover the cost. It would not be under TA. I'm talking about TA covering her cost for doing that for potential candidates. So let's run it first through her, I think, to where we can align. But I would like to push that forward. I mean, the idea is great. I don't have an issue with the plan. I think it's a phenomenal idea and concept. I don't disagree with it. I just disagree on the timing.
Okay. So what you're talking about is like a training that would be for us, but we would invite people
So potential candidates, so they can, and the community.
Participants or to like
participants,
be
no,
observers?
participants.
To be participants, okay. And so you're saying that we could think about that as a piece of this, or where that overlaps, you're saying.
Right.
the other piece about, like, people's time, well, okay, so here's what I'm wondering. You know, again, these are just ideas, right? This is why we're discussing it. The first session, and again, this is just how HEB has run it, but like they open it up like a formal meeting, all board members eat dinner with the folks in the cadre. All the board members would be there. Would this be more feasible, you all, just in our first year as like a pilot year? If I said, okay, let me take the lead, and any board member that wants to come can come, but it's not like it's not like a requirement everybody have to be
or
there or
anything like
something
that.
like
It would
that.
just be something that you would like to.
Would that be?
And again, I don't have a problem with it. To me, it's just, I'm having a very hard time starting something new when we have like a mess over here that we haven't finished. And I feel that we need to finish this. We need to do that superintendent evaluation if we're gonna do it. If not, are we gonna keep what we have? When are we doing the policy conversion? When are we doing the advocacy? I wanna get all that done first before I even consider something else. That's just how I feel.
Okay. So my thought is, if we wait to even launch something like this, it might get pushed back, and we miss our window of opportunity for like new candidates, you know?
Well, if you recall, Dr. McMahon said that she would be willing to come in free of charge and do up to 3 trainings if we needed to, for any new candidates that we're gonna run, that we could just schedule them and she would come in and do them for free. I have notes where she indicated
what I was talking
she
about.
would come and do them for free.
So that's kind of like a one touch point. This is like running like a cadre, a cohort of leaders together over a course of time. So this is, let's do this. Because we're in October. If we come back to this in November, because I want to know kind of what you all see as what you're talking about is the mess over here. What is the list of what's in the mess over here that in your mind needs to get accomplished before we can start this, you know?
And actually, the mess has been delays with the Texas Education Agency, Lone Star Governance, not this board. You do know
No,
that.
I just
That's
don't
the
know what
delays.
in your mind is on the list of things.
Yeah, those 3 items. 3 items that she
I guess
mentioned.
what she's saying, Ms. Elena, is the that have not been met yet, and that's what she's saying, probably. Is that
For
correct, Ms.
example, and I'm going to use as an example,
Yeah,
in
there's 3
June,
things.
they rushed us to look at all the board policies. And we even gave ourselves a deadline of 10 days, remember?
Yeah.
We rushed it. And we're still waiting for TEA to come and do it. That's one problem that I'm
So
having.
policy discussion, what's the other one?
The other one, they indicated that they were going to create a superintendent evaluation to only measure the goals. I still haven't seen that. And that's something that he should have seen since day one, not in the
Okay.
middle of the year.
That
Advocacy.
was our part 1 of the superintendent evaluation that we already did. So we actually don't even, like, that's already, like,
Done.
practically
So we're
done.
not going to create our own evaluation. We're going to use what the commissioner has.
Well, what is in the Lone Star Governance framework, we used that superintendent evaluation in our evaluation process.
Okay. And then the other one has been the advocacy, and let me tell you the problem with the advocacy. The other problem that I have with the advocacy is that in August, I brought it to the board, and changing the policies also, and I had already done the entire timeline, calendar to deploy the advocacy. I had already done the verbiage, all we needed to do was create the video. But then they said, no, we need to have a special board meeting, so all that got thrown off completely. An enormous amount of work that got sidetracked.
No, that was based on the goal, math goal that we had to reestablish. And so before we even did the video, it was discussed during our session that before we even did the video, we had to put a hold on it so that
No, I
we
had
could
already-
we could have the math piece on there, but
I had done it already.
Yeah.
He gave it to us, and I had run it, and Alicia even made adjustments to it, and I brought it to the board, but y'all wanted a board
Oh,
meeting. A special
yes,
board meeting.
revisions for the AE, from the House Bill 3 on the goals.
Right, I had already
Yeah.
done all that, but y'all wanted.
but we can
a
still
board
run with it
meeting.
without having to do that. I
So
mean,
really, that's what you're saying. One is the policy discussion, that. Two is the video.
Mhm.
And then what else is the other thing we need to get done?
No, superintendent's already done.
The board policy conversion, the board operating procedures,
Mhm.
and
And
the
the
advocacy.
advocacy.
And the advocacy.
Okay, and so what are the things within the advocacy?
The
video?
advocacy, the video, and then create the calendar to deploy it.
For us to be part of that,
To
whoever.
deploy it, to
For
be
the
able to
community
deploy-
meetings.
For the community meetings.
Right,
and
to a
everything.
two-way communication. which is-
Okay.
All the method that is gonna be released.
Okay, so let's do this. So what we can do is revisit this bring this back in November, but between now and November, get that's why we have an item on the agenda in 2 items from now.
Right.
To figure out the plan for the advocacy stuff. And then what I can do is, or you work with Dr. McMahon to schedule the dates for the policy conversation?
Conversion.
Yeah, the policy conversion.
Yes, sir.
I
Okay.
think we need to do all that first and then bring it back. I think we can still do it.
Okay.
This won't start in January anyway, right?
Yeah. January,
No,
February,
I mean,
March, I think.
I think what we're saying is, let's get some concrete actions around those items. That's what you all are saying you need.
We have the action items. We just haven't been able to close the deal on these because of different moving parts with different people. Remember, for us, it's not just us holding this back. It's now, in the TA side. The advocacy piece is ours. We can move forward on that next week if we need
Yeah.
be. But I think the other pieces, TA has to come be part of that. So we
Okay.
cannot push their numbers. Whenever they're ready, then we need to execute, right?
Okay. Okay, so let's do this. How about, we're gonna hold on this for now. Let's revisit. We may have to adjust on some of the dates. But does everyone feel good about, let's work towards making this happen this year, though, before the election? Does everybody feel comfortable about that, though?
I think we need to finish the first part first, everything that's pending, and then, well, personally me, I'm not speaking for anybody. Let's finish Lone Star Governance 1 first, before I embark on something else.
Okay, and so.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Because it covers all those pieces. Once we finish those 3 items, then we would have finished the whole enchilada
So we need
for us.
we need to establish a timeline.
Yeah,
Because
but
think
I
we
guess
need to
I'm
start-
saying, just generally speaking, do you all feel good about trying to get to a place where we would be ready to do this before the next election?
Yeah, I have no issue with that.
Yeah,
Right. And I guess
David?
the timeline is gonna be contingent upon TEA.
Mhm.
They're the ones that have us on hold.
Yeah, we can't give
We
time.
can finish this
Asking for
program
time, we can't.
that we can get everything knocked out at least by December. I mean,
Then we'll be
it'd
good.
be good. But right now, what's happening, Alicia, is that we're getting a lot of pushback and no one's done anything. And I know that Marcia's gonna come down, we're gonna have another class, and we have to make sure that all board members attend. And then, or not, we wind up losing the point system. So we need to get that knocked out before we even move on this, because we haven't even finished that, and we're jumping too far ahead right now. But if we can get it knocked out in the next 2 months, then we can put it and we can move forward with it. But let's try to get this out of the way. That's what we need to push for right now.
But I think one of the things that we need to start planting that seed in potential candidates and let them know, look, we're gonna be having some type of leadership training. Start thinking about it. If you're gonna run, if you're gonna make the commitment, you need to come in and.
That's not up to us right now. That's, once we've come out with dates, then we can go out and do publicly, not right now.
But we can start planting the seed.
I mean, we can with
And
people
by
we
the
have,
way, when we
yeah.
do the board operating procedures, that's where we put it, because when I did the sample board operating procedures,
Right.
I had already
And
put
you have
that
one too.
item in there.
Right.
But it didn't get approved before, we put it on hold.
Yeah, put it on hold,
So
yeah.
see,
But we need to move on.
I think once we put those board operating procedures in place, we can place that item there.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Okay, are we done with this discussion, board members?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we're done.
So there's no action on number 2. Number 3, discussion on calendar for submissions of board agenda items and supporting documents for regular board meetings dates for remainder of the school year 2019-2020. That would also be Ms. Reina.
So I put this calendar together, just thought it would be helpful for us to kind of get into the routine of dates and when we can be submitting items and supporting documents so everybody has what they need when they need it. I know the superintendent's already been getting the administration, staff used to submitting items 2 weeks in advance so that we can get our board packet 10 days in advance. So we have time to do revisions to the agenda and then get another revision, another final agenda 7 days in advance. So for all that to happen, anyways, long story short, what this calendar is essentially is to say what is the Tuesday before, 2 weeks before the regular board meeting, and then when would we receive the packet, our packet. That's what this outlines here. This is a helpful guide for us to kind of get into the routine of doing that.
Is there any discussion on this, board members?
I mean, the only point I want to make, and again, Alicia, it goes back to what we already had discussed. This is for us, which is 7 days. Right now in our policy, it has 6 days, 6 calendar days. And for those that don't know or have not read that part, in our BA local states that, it's 6 days calendar days from the time that we have the last data in for us to review. That's what it has in our
To submit agenda items,
agenda
yeah.
items, right? So now you're talking a piece of when we get our packet. Well, if 6 days prior to that, you're asking now for 7 days, so it's a change, a modification to our local policies.
Well, so here's the difference. Our local policies are kind of like the minimum bar, right? It is like the minimum bar. And I think as a board, I know as a board, we are striving to be exemplary. We're at the exemplary bar. So the exemplary bar is, what's written in the Lone Star governance framework around structure is we receive all final materials 7 days in advance of the board meeting. That's an exemplary bar. So the old ways of doing stuff, when people submitted 6 days in advance, we got a board packet late Friday to have a board meeting Tuesday. That didn't give enough time for review of stuff, asking questions. Everything was way too rushed. So the board policies are minimum bar. What we're striving for is an exemplary board practice, and that exemplary board practice would be to get materials at least 7 days in advance, and doing this calendar would allow that. Now, the superintendent is already, for us to get our board packets 10 days in advance like we've been getting them, his staff is already following this timeline. It's really us as board members that are not yet fully at a place where we're in practice doing this on a regular basis. So really it's the difference between, yes, we have board policy, but that's the minimum. Exemplary board practice is what we find in the Lone Star.
But again, it goes back, then we have to go back and change policy if we're going to do that. And that's exactly what I'm just stating. I don't think, if we're going to change this, and it goes back to what you said earlier, we have to do this holistically. Not in the eaches, just like we did with Dr. Valdez, I think last board meeting, or 2 board meetings ago, in August, where we were going to have, she wanted to change, but we couldn't do it because we had to meet first in the workshop we had, to change something. I can't remember what it was, an item that you wanted to, constraint you wanted to put to the superintendent. So we didn't want to do that until we had the math, HB3 be advised, right? Same thing here. I think right now for us to do any changes, right now, to me, it's 6 days, even though the superintendent is going ahead on this already. I think the 6 days is already stated, stick with that until we make the modifications. I agree with you. We need to make those modifications, but again, it goes back to the local policies.
But we can, as a board, have a different board practice than what's named in the policy. Now, ideally,
Procedures now you're talking about.
then it would be reflected in our policies.
Now you're talking board procedures, a little different.
But
Little
in our,
little different.
that's what I'm saying. We could adopt this into our local board policies to say submission 2 weeks in advance. We could adopt that into our local board policy.
So it's only about 1 day, that's in essence.
No, in order to get
You
for
said 7
us
days, that's what's over here. You said 7 days.
to get our board packet,
7 days.
but 2 weeks to submit items and materials.
In the regular session, and I know this, in the regular session, we have regular sessions from month to month. That doesn't put a lot of strain on you guys, especially you, in a regular session. If we have a
Wait,
workshop.
a lot of strain?
Strain meaning on the work they have to
It
put in.
does or doesn't?
It does
Oh.
not, in a regular session, meaning once a month. If we have a board meeting once a month, I don't think it puts a lot of strain. When we have more than one board meeting.
Creating these packets doesn't put a lot of strain on people?
No, I didn't say that. I said, wait a minute, let me finish. When, for example, if we have 3 or 4, 3 board meetings like we've had in August, I mean, they were at a loss, I'm sure. Because we have to ask them to do a lot of different things they had to produce during that time frame. Obviously, August was a busy month. So was, I think, June and May before we came back this way. So I think the once a month is not going to be as challenging, correct?
I don't know.
I just wanna state a correction, because every item that I get from the school, from the meetings, I always document, did we get everything on time or did we not? There's only been one item that the school board almost did not meet the timeline. Everything else has been district. None of them have been board item issues. I have documented by month. So the issue is not the board.
You're our second contributor?
Well, I'm just saying, all around, like, it would be helpful if we were all on the same page as far as, again, that's not, everyone is on the same page as far as when folks should be submitting items. Look, you all, that's why I bring it for discussion.
No, we got you.
I said my piece. It's up to you, Ms.
Okay, go
Watts.
ahead.
I have a question, because I know that somebody doesn't live in town. You get your board packets on Friday. This person is out of town on Friday. Doesn't come in until the day of or the day before the meeting. What do you do then? Because obviously you haven't read the packet by the time you get here.
Who are you referring to?
No.
ma'am?
Who are you talking
They
about, ma'am?
can't mention names, I know that. And I shouldn't have to, because you all know who it is.
No, I don't.
Oh, shit.
Enlighten me.
Were you born yesterday?
No, I mean, you seem to know it all, might as well, spit it out.
Okay, let's just,
Okay,
let's
I
just
think
move on. Please, let's have
We
some
need to move on.
respect to y'all, please. Okay, let's just move on. Any other discussion on that? Okay, number 4, Lone Star Governance Board Tracking Report, September 2019. That would be Mr. Perez.
Yeah, I'm not going to take too much time on the board tracking. I think the time has we talked about it a little bit before. But just to enlighten everyone, the board obviously is focused on student outcomes across the board. Really, that's what we want to do. We make sure that, you know, our resources and what we discuss here in the board is towards those goals we want to accomplish for our students. For the month of August, we had 64%. In September, we went 50%. So that's, we're exceeding, in some areas, obviously, our tracking when it comes to student outcomes. I didn't present back in September for the month of June, July, and August, our quarterly report, which stated that we've exceeded, we met 50% of our goal of student outcomes, which is the first time for our district to do that. Now, across the board in the state of Texas, we're probably one of 2 districts that have done this. And I'm proud of, obviously, of us as board members to be able to focus on student outcomes. And singularly, for each one of us, that means the hard work that each one of you are doing and focusing on that venue. So that's all I want to say about the time tracker. Later on, we're going to have to start tracking our personnel as well, how much, time you guys spend on preparation for our board meetings. We're getting some data right now, but we're not there yet. Our NXT board, which we need to have data come in so we can start doing it properly. Probably by that I mean someone else is going to give us their way of doing it, and we're going to follow whatever processes they deem necessary. But nonetheless, we've done very well as a board when it comes to tracking our time.
Thank you,
So
Mr.
kudos to
Perez.
the board.
And the superintendent.
Well, he's part of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Next item is number 5, updated discussion plan for advocacy as part of the Lone Star Governance. That would be Ms. Reina and Mr. Perez.
already started that discussion, didn't we?
Well, I think it's very simple. The plan is already stated by Dr. Valdez. You know, she's already had outlined all those items. And the reason we were putting a hold, and I think we already talked about that, was because of what the discussion was on the HB3 and the plan of adding math as the next goal for us. But I discussed it with Dr. McMahon, Dr. McMahon and Dr. Valdez, that we don't need to put a stop on that process of having community advocacy, because we can still have those discussions. And we can present the math piece as a talking point of what's forthcoming for the following year. So there's no need for us to put a hold on our video and advocacy program when it comes to a two-way communication with the public, obviously. So I think it's, again, the plan's in process. We can go ahead and go back to the drawing board next week with the superintendent, so we can go ahead and get ourselves online. Again, it goes back to board members being available to present, because this is not anyone is going to present this. This is the board members' opportunity to talk to the public and tell you what we're doing when it comes to our Lone Star governance processes, so that everyone understands what that means. Because I don't think everyone understands what Lone Star government means. That's just a word that's out there, but they don't really know what that means. And what we have to go through in training to make sure that we all are on the same page.
Is there any discussion that you want to have, Ms. Reyna, since you
Just a couple of clarifying questions. So the video hasn't been made yet, right?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Our social media person, the person that makes the district highlight videos,
Mhm.
is he going to be the one helping us
Yes.
make the video? Okay. And can he, I don't know the process for this, like how he puts the videos together, but is he going to be guiding us in like a script and like?
We already have the script.
They already have everything.
We have
Okay.
everything.
Ready to go.
And then so, do we just need a date for which we all
That's easier said than done.
come together and do the recordings? Yeah? Okay, so how do we make sure that that date gets on the books?
I'll take the lead. I'll take the lead in that. That way, and I'll communicate across that, because I know what Dr. Valdez has alluded to that, but I'll take the lead.
Okay, so you'll let all of us know what date to.
What dates and we'll come in and.
No, the date to make the video?
Yes.
The date to make the video, okay. So then all of us can record something, then our social media person can put it together. And then the community meeting dates,
That will be also work.
okay, so can you all send those dates out and then we can sign up for them? You'll send the dates out, Mr. Pettis? And then we just email you back and tell you what date we can
Right.
go?
Right.
What are we thinking about as far as like the location?
It's a minimum of only 2 board members, by the way. It's no
Yeah,
more than 2 board members
2.
per session, so.
So you kind of figure out, if we reply, hey, these are the 2 dates we can make, then you can make sure that there's no more than 2 or whatever, right? Okay. And then are we thinking that is, over the course of,
Next month or 2.
like November, December?
Yeah, we need to get that going. I mean, people need to know what we're doing. I mean.
Okay, so
we
the
know what we're doing,
community,
but they don't.
so the community meetings, we'll focus on getting the video done before the end of October, let's say. And then we'll have the community meetings over the month of November, December. And do we have an idea of how many we want to do?
Not yet.
Let's just do one for now.
No, I think more than that. We won't meet the requirements. You have to have things every quarter. We have to have at least one, according to your Lone Star governance manual that we have.
A quarter, okay.
Once a quarter, I think. we have
So
to
how many we think we want to have between November, December?
So we got, what, 2 quarters left? 3 quarters? 1, 2, okay. Ms. Cancino, how many quarters do we have left?
For what, sir?
For this.
Just quarters between now and the, so 3 more?
Okay, so
We have
what,
one every quarter.
one each quarter?
Mhm.
Is that what everybody's thinking?
Yep.
One per quarter? So that means for
If we
November,
can do more, we can, but I think, again,
Okay.
just to get started.
so one per quarter,
Mhm.
so we'd have one between November, and December.
Yeah, so we meet the quarterly requirements that, for the time tracker, and I know she has put in her tracking mechanism, the same thing. Because you guys, right now you have us on, I think, gray, that we have not started that yet, two-way communication. And I think the quarterly, because she does it every other month?
I included it every month.
Yeah, so if we were to catch up, it would be, by November, it'll show up for the report this other time, so it'll be a good thing for us.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll have one over the course of November, December, and then again 2 following quarters the rest of the year. So a total of 3 this year.
At least, right now, minimum.
At least 3,
Mhm.
okay. So you'll send us the date for the one per quarter,
Mhm.
but only 2 of us need to go to that one?
Right.
Right, okay. So, and then there was one other question I had. Was that the only 2 things as far as the advocacy? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it just talks about governance, most of our governance.
Okay.
Okay, cool, so we'll get that, we'll make sure everybody's in that video and get a date
Get
set.
it done, okay. Next, the time is 8:01. We're going into executive session as authorized by the Texas Government Code sections 551.071, .072, .073, .074, .075, .076, .082, .083, and .084. We're going into executive.